I am Dynamologist, and welcome to Abstract Essay, where ideas take shape, thought find depth, and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. He is a husband, father, and inventor of the Hunkerin Stool, none other than Mr. Kasey Jackson.
Thank you, Daniel. Nice to be
Welcome.
here today. I'm excited to talk about my life and my passion and my projects.
Indeed, and thank you so much for being part on Abstract Essay, Mr. Kasey. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Yes. So, my name's Kasey F. Jackson, and I'm the inventor of the Hunkerin Stool. And I developed the Hunkerin Stool after a lifelong of living a rough and rowdy life. I damaged my lower back, and so I needed a device which would allow me to rest comfortably in a deep squat and decompress my spine. I've actually broken some facets off of my lower vertebrae, and and herniated and bulged my discs. So I've done a number to my lower back, and so I came up with the Hunkerin Stool, and it's been a fun journey. And now we sell stools all over the world, and it funds my family, and it's my full-time job, and it's a wonderful business. And so it's been a really fun project and passion.
Well said, Mr. Casey. And here on Abstract Essay, we salute you, we celebrate you for sharing your innovation to the world. Thank you. As well as your wisdom and knowledge to us. And today, let's talk about all the hats that you've been through, being the BattleAxe, Sons of God, husband, a father, a warrior, as well, entrepreneur, and inventor. You said you ripped the muscles from skeletal structure and crushed your back. Take us the specific moment on the field, in the cage or under a barbell, when you felt your body break for the last time before you had to rebuild differently.
Yes, so going back over my life of I call it a rough and rowdy life. I was I played football, American football, and then uh I would lift. I was very into lifting weights, and so my whole life I've been trying to get as strong physically as I could. And back then, we didn't really realize that overtraining and the just the overuse injuries that I developed along the way would be so detrimental as I aged. And so it was just the accumulation of years of overtraining and wearing my body out that led to these multiple injuries. So when I talk about I've ripped the muscles off of my skeletal structure, I've ripped both my pieces of my pectorials off of my body, and then like I've said, I've smashed my back, and so I had to figure out a better way to train and how to reverse engineer all the damage that I've done. So that's how I came up with the Hunkerin Stool. And then now I'm 49 and I'm training still. I still practice martial arts. I'm a second degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And so it's just a lifelong passion of being able to train myself, and not only train myself, but I oftentimes say that I've turned my body into a tool and a weapon. And so one of the things that I've learned along the way is that a strong body is great, but a strong body can also then help create a strong mind. And then that's where we can really start to make some inroads in our life and experiences here in this realm or incarnation while we're here on this spinning ball we call Earth going through the universe.
Hmm. Well, interesting, Mr. Casey. You were led to invent, as you talking about the Hunkerin Stool because sitting was destroying you. Walk us through that first time you tried a deep squat for relief, and what did your back tell you in the moment that no doctor or, well, anything can ever say to you?
Yes. So, I've gone through. Uh, I've had stem cell procedures on my low back. I've had cortisone shots. I've had countless chiropractor visits and physical therapy visits, and I've spent my whole life trying to rehab the damage that I've done on my back. And so along the way in yoga, they call this a malasana pose. We now call it a deep squat, and I call it hunkering down. And so in my practice of trying to heal my body, I found that resting in a deep squat can decompress our spines. However, in Western society, we've kind of lost this innate natural human resting pose where it's now difficult for people who sit static in a chair all day to be able to rest in a deep squat. And so that was my case. I'm a big man. I weigh 300 pounds, and I'm older and I'm stiffer, and so it was very uncomfortable for me to rest in a deep squat. And so I was able to come up with these three conical compression springs that are attached to my stool. And so as I go and rest onto the seat, it slowly absorbs my body weight, and so then it takes the strain off of my knees, hips, and ankles so that I can still get the benefits of a deep squat without, just resting down there without an assistance. And so it's been a game changer. And it's really a part of my daily movement practice, and as well as my wife's. And I'll just go into this really quick is my wife had three children in 4 years.
Oh.
um it was a pretty it's a lot for the female body to go through that much um uh use. I don't want to necessarily call it trauma or damage, but she definitely had a lot of uh you know effects, hard effects that happened to her body. And so she went through pelvic floor rehab. And one of the things that are often taught in pelvic floor rehab is to be able to rest into a deep squat and diaphragmic breathing. And so she was able to use the Hunkerin Stool as part of her rehabilitation process. And so now a lot of female uh, pelvic floor rehabilitation experts and therapists are using the Hunkerin Stool to help their clients and their patients restore their pelvic health by being able to rest in that deep squat. And so it's just evolved into something that I never thought that when I first invented it that it would be able to help out, potential pelvic floor rehabilitation. So, and it just keeps going from there. And it's been a really fun project to bet on. So we really have enjoyed the Hunkerin Stool.
Mr. Casey, you stated, "Code cheating is the smoking code." That's a bold claim. What's a psychological mechanism that makes sitting as a dangerous as known as carcinogen? And what happens to the spine, hips, and gut when hunker instead?
Yes. So I now taken that quote, "Sitting is the new smoking," from the Mayo Clinic. So that's not my terminology. And the reason why they've now considered sitting a disadvantage to your health is because when we sit for prolonged periods of time, our pelvis will twist or rotate into a posterior pelvic tilt, and that's going to put a lot of pressure. And it's right there on my website. You can see what somebody's sitting, what it can do to your spine. It can slowly start to put strain and pressure on your lower back. And so this is what that's one of my customers. So that's what we're able to figure out is that resting in a deep squat on the hunkering stool will allow our pelvis to find a neutral position, taking the strain off of our lower back. And then the problems with sitting is it can adversely affect your digestion. Um, if we sit all day, our our blood pressure is difficult because all of our circulation will end up, the blood will end up into our lower extremities. Um, and so those are some, and then over time that can cause health problems from just being living in a sedentary lifestyle. And so those are just a few, your circulatory system, your digestion system, and just your overall spinal health by sitting static in a 90-degree position all day can be can cause eventual health problems. And so the Hunkerin stool is a way for us to break up our extended sitting periods and rest actively on a Hunkerin stool, where you're not sitting static, because the little springs are causing you to have little micro adjustments to be able to maintain your position on the stool. So those are a few of the reasons why we say that sitting is the new smoking, and we're the antidote for extended sitting periods.
Mr. Kasey, you talk about rising from the ashes like a phoenix. What was the darkest season of your physical and mental breakdown, the ashes moment where you were not sure you'd ever train, fight, or even walk without pain again?
Yeah. So uh, oftentimes when we go through our life, we can have setbacks. Um, One of the terms that comes to mind in literature and some self-help ideologies is the term the dark night of the soul. And so that's what I mean by being like hitting rock bottom. And so years ago I had a degenerative eye problem, which is called keratoconus. And to make a long story short, because of the keratoconus, I eventually lost my vision in both my eyes. And so it wasn't blind like the lights were shut off. It was blind like I was trying to look through a steamed up shower door. So I couldn't read, I couldn't drive, and it was a difficult time in my life. And so that being said, I had to get two cornea transplants. And so I have donated corneas in both of my eyes that now with contacts I'm able to see. And so going through um, financial setbacks. I've lost two businesses along my way, and in between, and after losing two businesses, I lost vision in both my eyes, and so I had no health insurance. I had no money. I had no income, and I was literally at the bottom. I was at rock bottom. And luckily, I was able to have a supportive network where I was able to move in with my parents and rebuild literally from the ground up after hitting rock bottom. And a part of that journey is I was able to invent the Hunkerin Stool and restore my health and my tenacity and vigor. And so that's what's kind of keeping me moving forward and breaking through resistance and rising from the ashes to become my best self.
Mr. Casey embody Kaizen, a continuous improvement, and Bushido, the warrior's code, and Ikigai purpose. Give us on a daily discipline from each that any man, whether fighter or accountant, can practice tomorrow.
Yes, so that's very interesting you brought those up. So with my background in martial arts, particularly Ju-Jitsu, I've studied a lot about the samurai culture and different aspects of Japanese culture, and I really like some of their ideologies. And that being said, you brought up the term Kaizen. And so Kaizen is just a business practice of getting 1% better every day. And so I've developed a Kaizen system where I'm able to track 10 daily habits. And depending upon my daily habits, I can then give myself a measurable result after each day on whether or not I was able to get uh, uh, a full amount of uh, whether I was able to hit my target of getting that 1% every day. And so I can track my progress. And so that's why I'm trying to get better 1% every day. And we're not ever going to actually get a truly like 1% better every day, but it's just the concept of having discipline and daily habits that I have to try to hit my targets with and get a full 1% uh, reckoning after each and every single day. And then that will lead me over to Ikigai. And so Ikigai is another Japanese term, and it's a four-circled system where you find something that you're good at, you find something that you're able to do, and you find something that you can make some money with, and then you find the fourth circle is finding something that could benefit humanity or help others. And so, because of my background in building, I was able to build and invent a hunkering stool. And I love to build. It's one of my passions. And so, for me, building a hunkering stool is not work. It's a passion project. And along the way, I was able to figure out how to monetize it and sell it while benefiting other people who are suffering from low back pain or mobility issues. And so that's the full encompassing aspect of Ikigai, which then will go further into Bushido, which is the way of the warrior. And so I believe when we come into this realm, we have an ego, a false self. And so I use the term BattleAxe to counteract my ego, and that's my best self. That's my alter ego, as I refer to the BattleAxe. And so it's not necessarily about overcoming the ego. I read a book years ago called "Ego is the Enemy," and after further meditation and pondering, I've realized that the ego isn't the enemy. The ego is a vital part of us, but we want to have our best self. I call it our soulful self. I call that guy the BattleAxe, my alter ego. And so I want him, my best self, to make the decisions and not the ego. So with that being said, I say the ego is the easy way. And so I choose the harder right, which is trying to become my best self by living a warrior code, by implementing hard work and discipline and sacrifice and honor and fidelity and all these terms that we seem to be losing with modern society. So that's a quick little breakdown on Kaizen, Ikigai, and Bushido.
Mhm. Well, interesting, Mr. Casey. You're now physically pursuing a way to reverse the damage. What does the process actually look like week to week? Is it possible a truly reverse, or are you learning to live differently with rebuild today?
Yes, so excellent question. So yes, I don't do the same things that I once was able to do. Um, I used to lift giant, heavy amounts of weights. And now I've developed a different mindset where I'm not trying to lift extreme amount of heavy weights. I'm trying to be fully functional and be able to like get up and down off the floor without pain. Being able to balance on one leg. Um, at one point in my time in my life, I could squat 800 pounds, but I couldn't balance on one leg and do a one-legged squat because of all the muscle imbalances and what have you. So now I'm working on functional fitness and functional movement. And now it's a lifelong pursuit to reverse the damage and then improve my body. And all the while, I'm fighting father time. My beard looks really white today on the screen, and it's okay. It's part of the aging process, and I don't mind it at all. I've earned each and every one of these single gray hairs on my chin. So it's been a fun journey.
A fun journey indeed. One of your episode title ideas is Megan Rising. What is a Megan and what does rising mean for you, a man who has already fallen and rebuilt multiple times?
Wow. So imagine is the term.
Imagine. Okay.
Imagine. And so imagine comes from an old Anglo-Saxon word. Old English is a term magin. And your Magin is it's your soulful strength. It's your internal strength. It's your internal power. It's the part of you that when you get knocked down says, get back up again, even though your body's too fatigued and too worn up to stand back up. So in the famous movies of Rocky Balboa, his Magin, as they're counting down the 10 count, Rocky will grab onto the ropes and pull himself back up onto his feet to battle again. And so we may get knocked down, but with our Magin, we can get backed up. We can get back up again. The term Magin also correlates with the Chinese word your chi or your life essence. The Polynesians in the Polynesian islands have a term called your mana, or the energy of the earth. And so it's a part of I believe we are all energy, and we are created. We cannot be created. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed according to physics. So somehow we have, I believe, a soul which is eternal, and we can carry on our Magin with us as we continue to progress through, I don't know, maybe multiple lives into an afterlife. I don't know. I don't know where we go from here. But I do know that while we're here on earth, we can work to become our best selves and transcend our ego and rise from the ashes. And that's the term I use as Magin rising, is me taking my life essence, my life force, and channeling it towards my targets. And the proof is in the pudding. Like, one of the things I've been able to do is take that energy, that life force, and use it to create a product called the Hunkerin Stool, and then use that to work at it and build this business, and all the while provide for my family, and I'm able to take care of my wife and raise my children, and trying to become my best self, all the while trying to raise my Magin. And that's it in a nutshell. Magin rising, baby.
Imagine indeed. And Mr. Casey, you're creating a programs for young men through martial arts, discipline, leadership, and rites of passage. What is the single most damaging thing modern culture has done to boys that you're trying to reverse?
Well, I'm really glad you're definitely a very good host and very insightful on your questions. And I really
Thank you.
appreciate this opportunity to share my story, by the way. Um, One of the things that I see that's been happening to these poor young men is they're not able to go out and stretch themselves and embrace true masculinity. Sometimes in this current world, I see that these boys are forced to conform and not be able to embrace their masculinity. And that being said, so with martial arts, we're able to train our bodies and channel our life essence, our force, our sexual energy. And so I'm creating this program to give these boys an outlet to be able to use their Magin, to be able to chase their goals, and also being able to have a different way to uh, embrace their true and authentic selves, and not have to be um, what society has been telling them that they can't be like this. Uh, and also, one of the things too, I'm going to go into it. I didn't want to necessarily have to do this, but um, the young boys today are addicted to their devices, and we are, as a human species, I believe we are always seeking cheap levels of dopamine. And for these young men, I particularly see an addiction to video games and also to pornography. And so I think that is an truly destructive force, pornography. And I also believe that these boys are seeking after these video games because they want to be the hero. They want to go and fight the bad guy and save the day, like in any great action film. And so my Stripling Warrior program is an actual program. It's the Boy Scouts on anabolic steroids. It's a distinctive program where these boys are able to go out in the forest, learn survival skills, and learn to gain dominion over their bodies by learning to develop martial arts skills, you know, developing their strength, their speed, their stamina. That will then they can carry that on into different sports and activities and learn how to overcome resistance and not run away from it. And that's why we have rites of passage, and they're able to earn each a badge or title in my program. But it's nothing is given, nothing is free. Everything has to be earned, and everything is earned with hard work, discipline, and tenacity, and all of these words that I love to try to use and live by on a daily basis. That's a quick version on that.
Beautifully articulated, Mr. Casey. And to wrap up our discussion for today, you said it's never too late. How old we are when you are invented the Hunkerin Stool. And what would you say to a 50-year-old listener who thinks their physical prime on their dream is a decades behind them?
Yes, and so perfect. It's never too late to try to become fit and mobile and active and be able to use our human bodies. So yes, 50, 60, 70 years of age, you think that your prime is back before, that your days are done. And I disagree with that wholeheartedly. Yes, we'll, at age 75, will we be able to run as fast as we were when we were 25? 100%, I don't think so. But can we still get up and move and go on walks and ski down mountains and all the rest of it? And I emphatically believe that we can. And one of the reasons that I believe that is if we don't use it, we lose it. So if we are sitting and we are living in a very comfortable uh, life life journey where we sit all day in our car going to work. We sit all day at work. We come home and we sit all night on the sofa and we're never using our bodies. And so the first thing I would say to anybody who's older, who's trying to get back into fitness and health is simply go outside. And I would even say take off your shoes and start walking around. Just walk around on the grass and just feel Mother Jaya, this beautiful earth that we live on. Just be able to ground. That's a term called grounding, where you can ground yourself and our energy back into the earth. And just simple as that is start walking. And if you're having a hard time getting up and down, go and check out my website, The Hunkerin Stool. Read my reviews from all of my customers on how the Hunkering Stool has been able to help them with their flexibility, their mobility, um, and and practice and begin a daily practice of simply moving. And so that's what I mean by if you don't use it, you lose it. So if we sit, we're static, and if we're static, we're stuck. And if you're aging and you're sitting and you're stuck in your chair, you're not gonna be able to get up and get out of that chair, and you're going to have a quick ride down to the rest home. And so get up off your ass and get moving and maybe go take a long walk in the wet grass. There you go.
Well said, Mr. Casey. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to us. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your breakthrough?
Yes, so it's pretty easy. My business, my social media, my website is just Hunkerin, Hunkerin. I took off the G and it's Hunkerin Stool. And I always end everything at like this on all my videos on social media and what have you. And it right now, it's truly time to hunker down.
Mm, indeed, it's time. So, Mr. Casey, before I will let you go, I have one more question. If someone is listening or watching right now who has wrecked their body, lost their sense of purpose, and doubts they can ever rebuild, what do you say to that person in 30 seconds and that might them to try one more time?
Try one more time. Try one more time. I would say, first of all, find a spiritual purpose. I believe in a God. At the beginning of this podcast, we mentioned that I consider myself a son of God. Maybe you don't believe in a God. I would try to find something that's beyond yourself and start some sort of a spiritual practice and get in tune with whatever you deem the universe, the source, what have you. I call this energy God. So go and find a relationship with God or a spiritual practice. And then we must find a passion. We have to go find something, whether it be a puzzle or an an old sport we're not able to play anymore that we could still try to participate in by going to go be a coach or an assistant coach. So get up and get outside and go and try to help other people and find a passion to pursue. So find a spiritual practice, find your passion, and along the way try to find and go and help others along the way. And that will make the world a better place. It'll make you have a much more fulfilling and happy life.
A happy life indeed, Mr. Casey. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
But people, see you soon. I will invite you again to my other podcast, Entrepreneurship 101, and let's talk about entrepreneurship mindset, Mr. Casey.
For sure. That'll be great. I'll for sure do that, Daniel.